Hey, it's Sam. Welcome back to Between the Cups. Today we have a very wonderful special guest who's near and dear to my heart. She puts the con in condiment. Ladies and gentlemen, Celine Dejion.
Hello.
Celine, is there anything you want to say about yourself to start off with?
Well, it's actually she puts the condom in condiment, not the con. We don't
Oh,
let cons hit this.
I've always had it wrong then. That is my bad.
That's so good. I love it. I love it. Maybe I should start letting cons hit it, and then I might actually land a boyfriend. Who knows?
All right. So, is there anything you want to start off with sharing about yourself?
Um, for those of you that don't know me, it's a fucking shame. Just kidding. I'm a blast in a redneck wine glass, and I am a really big pain in the ass. I don't know what else you'd really like me to say.
All right. And so, Celine's someone who I've known for probably the longest out of everyone else you'll see me interview during these interviews. We've known each other since high school, and we even started drag together for the first time.
You
Um,
actually, oh, you actually put me in drag for the first time. Like I can't. I remember coming to you with my little janky idea, and I was like, "Hey, I've got this idea. I would really love to do drag." And then like, could you do my makeup? And then you kind of did, but we also had like the mask moment, and then I think I was like, after my first performance, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do that again. And then I think it was like a week after, I come to you with like this notebook and this little duotang binder filled with all these different ideas, and you were like, I thought it was just a one-time thing. Now look at us.
right now, Tanner is a full ass queen all over the place. Saskatoon, Edmonton, North Battleford. And so we're going to start with our first topic, which I like to start everybody off with. What does pride mean to you?
So what pride means to me is honestly nothing overly special. It's just my day-to-day life. I'm fucking proud of who I am, and I just wear my heart not necessarily I guess on my sleeve, or I don't I what did Cameron Michaels say? I might not be loud, but I'm very proud, something along those lines in American. I don't know, but whatever Cameron Michaels said, I related to, and I really hate that I don't remember the quote for fully, um, because I don't think that you necessarily have to be loud at all hours of the day to show your pride. And I don't know, I wake up proud and I go to bed proud. Like I love myself a lot more than I a lot more now than I used to.
Okay, and so do you usually do anything during Pride Month? Like, are there any special events that you attend, or have you ever attended the parade?
Um, I'd gone to the parade a few times in when living in Saskatoon, but then like after I think it was probably like my first or second year of living in Saskatoon, I actually did not like going to the parade because I was like, oh, up with that guy. Oop, ghosted that guy. And it was just like very awkward. And I was like, I don't want to be called out. But I went to I think I've been to the Saskatoon Pride Parade a few times. I walked it once in drag, but I don't think a lot of people really caught that I was in drag because I was trying to do like this whole little Ariana Grande moment. It was just after No Tears Left to Cry had come out. And I had this cute little custom dress made that was polka dot. And then I wore my hair, a gray wig and a low pony. But then like and I walked with some other queens. And then like after the parade, all these kids were like, "Oh my god, can you take your picture with all the other queens?" But then they just kind of like looked at me and like brushed me off. And I was like, huh, this was a choice and we're not going to do it again. And then 2019 I was working that pride parade, and then 2020 it was canceled because of Miss Rona.
Yeah, so since Miss Rona came around, has there been anything that you've done for Pride while the pandemic's been around?
um Not really. Like I mean, I post my gay ass content on Instagram, but that's about it.
I know we did a few drag shows during Miss Rona that were to restrictions, but that's it besides just posting on Instagram?
Um, yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, there, I don't know. I personally, I guess I don't feel the need to be loud with, like, I'll be loud where I need to be loud, but I don't need to be loud every day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
And so
So go ahead.
I, for people that don't know, you do some pretty interesting things in drag, like your music video.
Uh, okay, like my so on last year when Miss Rona hit, I wasn't really performing that much in 2019. Like I'd kind of taken a little bit of a hiatus and a break, and I was like really contemplating, like, do I want to continue in drag or not? And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna come back really strong in 2020. And I started practicing a little bit on my makeup and investing a little bit in like new outfits and wigs and stuff. And then 2020, I started posting relatively frequently, and then got back into a gig in March in Saskatoon, and then Miss Rona hit right after that gig. And so then I was like, damn it. But like before Rona hit, I was like, how could I be if I can't perform live, like what can I do? And I was like, had this idea of like making little music videos. And then when COVID hit, a lot of other drag performers started to make these little music videos. And I mean, I don't want to sound like a hipster or anything, but I kind of had the idea of doing it, but I was like, no, that's like gonna take a lot of effort. Nobody's gonna appreciate it. And then after I made my first one, I was like, wow, that didn't take that much effort. And so then I just started to make for a little bit of time. I think it was like from the end of April to the beginning of June or end of June. I was posting a weekly video, and so how my week would go is I would work because I was working a little bit but not a lot. So I'd work, but then like Sundays, I would dedicate my Sunday to doing drag. So I'd get into Face, make my little video, edit it Monday, Tuesday, and then get it posted for Wednesday. And then in between, to keep the block of 3 that Instagram has, I would post a photo, my video, and then a photo on Thursday.
Oh, that's cute. So it's like a little setup thing, like each line, right?
Yeah. So that then, like, if somebody new came to my profile, they'd be like, able to be like, oh, this is like one consistent thing. Like, so then like you get a taste of what the outfit in the video would look like.
And so then can you tell us a little bit more about your drag and how it's like developed?
So how my drag is developed. I can I start like I'll start where I began in a sense. So I think that I was always born to be an entertainer. And then after high school, I was like, how can I get into performing? When I was living in Saskatoon, I was like, I want to like get into performing, but didn't really like kind of know where to go to do that. And then I'd gone to the local bar with a friend, and like they had this drag show, and I'd seen my first performance, and I was like, I want to do that. Like, I don't know a shit thing about makeup, but I want to do that. And I bought some cheap wigs that Halloween and like played around in my room, but didn't ever really do makeup. I was like, I will never do makeup. I will just hire somebody to be my makeup artist. And sorry. So I played around, learned a few words, whatever. And then I think it was like the following year, the other bar started putting out these monthly drag shows. And I was like, okay, this is great. And I attended like every single one. And then I was like, I'm going to do it in September. September was when I was going to do it. But then in September, it wasn't at the end of the month. It was actually in the middle of the month. And I was like, I'm not ready. I don't have anything planned. Like, this was a surprise. So then I was like, okay, we'll do it in October. So then I became a Halloween queen. And so my first time was in a Halloween show, and I did like this Day of the Dead look, and my busted tuck hit the stage, sore feet from my heels. And then I was like, that was fun. And then I just kind of like ricocheted from there. I think I did the entire discography of Dangerous Woman, or the entire album of Dangerous Woman at one point. And now my drag is a lot more elevated than it started in terms of makeup looks and outfit looks. I think, even though most of my outfits consist of just a bra and a skirt, but anything is an outfit if you are willing to let it be.
And so I would say one of the things you're probably most known for, especially for performing here in the North Battleford, is just your dancing. I know when my sister seen you, she was just encapsulated by your dancing. So can you talk to us about your dancing? Like, how did you learn anywhere, or where did that just come from? It's crazy Celine-ness.
That just comes from having rhythm, I think. I mean, when I'm practicing, I don't practice properly because I sit and I practice in like just regular shoes or just soft feet. And I'm like, oh my God, this is how I'm gonna hit the stage. And I'm like, ba, 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 ba. And I'm like, kick, kick, kick. And then I like put the heels and I'm like, oh, this hurts a lot more. I can't do everything that I like practice to do. But yeah, I think it's just rhythm, and then just like trying to hit the beats and making it look like cute and sexy all at the same time, because that's what I like to sell is sex, even though I don't sell sex.
And so would you say that Celine and you out of drag are relatively similar, or are you two completely different people?
I think that there's definitely like, so Tanner on his day to day, there's probably a few little Celinisms that come out, but I do think, and I've heard a lot, especially from my ex roommate in Saskatoon, that like when she would watch me get ready, there would just kind of like, she would be able to see that transition. I don't like my nails, I didn't paint them, but she'd be able to see the transition of me going from Tanner and then to the full finished product. And then Celine had entered the chat. And like there was a few times where she like completely was like, yep, you're Celine now. But I'm like, I don't necessarily see it, but other people completely do. But I love when people do it. I love when they point it out to me, because then I'm like, okay, so there is a distinction. So the people that kind of pop on my Insta and they're like, oh, he does drag, and then they're no longer interested in me, your loss.
Exactly. And then I know that when you're here, you usually host the shows, and you're such a great host. I love it every time you're on stage. Can you talk to us about what hosting is like?
It's balls to the walls insane. It's my first show was actually in North that I hosted was actually the all ages show that we had the all ages open show that we had done at the church in North Battleford. What was that? That was August of 2019, I think. And that was my first time hosting, and I was like, okay, what? I just kind of like picked little zhuzhes of things that I'd kind of seen from other shows, but I was like, I was approached. No, I think I approached Kelly because Kelly had messaged the Saskatoon drag page, and I got in touch with her because I was like, I'm part of the board for it. I don't know why I still am, but I am. And I reached out to her, and then she finally got to me, but I was like, well, how many performers are there? Like, what kind of stuff's going on? She's just like, I don't know. We're just going to kind of wing it. I'm like, person that I am, I like to come in over prepared rather than under prepared. So it's like, okay, so I don't know how many people to expect. It's just an open cast show. I've reached out to you, and so you came and performed, and then I don't think I'd reached out to anybody else really. And then I was like, okay, well, I know that I'll come and I'll bring 3 numbers. I will just try to come up with a few jokes beforehand, but like I wrote a little bit of a script, but didn't really stick to it. And then I also wanted to come in with a few games that I could play that were like everybody would just be able to like play or laugh or like whatever. So like that's what we did. But if I had tips for hosting, it's just kind of keep the audience as a performer, as an entertainer. If your audience isn't entertained, then you're not doing your job right. Like if you're on stage and people are kind of falling asleep or crickets in the audience, sorry, but it is not your time and you should just cut your losses or come up with a few jokes. Be quick and witty. And if you have one of your best friends is in the audience, make fun of them. Danny, I'm looking at you. Whenever Danny, my best friend, is one of my best friends in North Battleford, whenever she's in the audience, you bet that I'm going to be making fun of that bitch.
And so, has Drake helped your self-confidence a lot, would you say? Because you're already pretty confident beforehand, I remember.
Yes, I would say that it has, because like I mean, I got up in this space and I was like, after I was like, you know what? I want to go to the grocery store. Like, I'll go to the grocery store with this dress. Like, this is a dress. It goes to my calves, and it's this see-through all the way through. So you see the cooter, you see the boobs, and I'm like, let's go grocery shopping. And if anybody is going to stare, it's because they wish they were wearing this.
And so recently you taking up sewing, right?
Yes, I have. Well, I sewed. So in grade 9, we took a sewing. I did like sewing class for what is it called, like PAA,
Yeah, the
Practical
home
Applied
econ.
Arts. So did the sewing class in grade 9, made myself a pair of quaint pajama pants, and then never really touched needle and thread until grade 12 when I had to sew a rough outfit for drama class, which was just a bunch of pieces of fabric around a hula hoop, and then never really touched it. And then last year when COVID hit, I was like, let's start making Barbie clothes. So we bought patterns and we made Barbie clothes. And then I was like, okay, now that we've like pumped out a few little Barbie outfits, let's make an actual human outfit. So this that I'm wearing tonight, I am actually sewed by my hands with a sewing machine, but by hand. These two hands made this.
And it looks wonderful.
Thank you.
And so I'm going from that and the confidence and everything. This is another question that I actually really liked from Instagram. What was probably one of the biggest negative impacts that you had during your part of being with the Alphabet Mafia here?
A negative impact?
Yeah, the biggest negative impact or impact.
That I've done, or like that has been done to me?
That just affected you and your mental health.
I think something that like has maybe potentially affected my mental health is just like the pure shady or flakiness of a lot of the guys in the gay community. Because it's just like one minute you're talking to somebody and it's like, oh, this is kind of going potentially well, and then the next day they're like gone, and it's just like they're gone or they're like moved on, and I'm like, okay, like I guess it wasn't going that well, but I don't know. It's just the like if you're not interested in somebody, just fucking say that. But like, don't. There also shouldn't be that backlash from people where if I tell somebody I'm not interested in them, I shouldn't be backlashed with that I'm a racist or that I'm ageistic or I'm fat phobic or like whatever. Like, if you're gonna just hit me with all of the homophobias, all of the phobias, then you might as well just call me homophobic because I wasn't interested in you sexually.
And that seems to happen a lot in the community because, of course, the IG before I started transitioning, I used to be on Grindr a lot. And yeah, when you reject people, they swerve to insults real fast. And especially like certain people.
They definitely do. And like, that's something I don't get either. Cause it's like, okay, so 2 minutes ago, I was like the most gorgeous person. I was this hot boy that you wanted me to come over. And now that I say I'm not interested, I'm the fucking worst thing in the world. I'm ugly as hell. I'm this, I'm that. Okay, so what were you gonna do if I came over? Were you gonna beat me up? Like, cause like I had one dude that like that all went down, and then 20 minutes later, he was messaging back. So did you want to come over?
Oh God.
Like, bruh, me about to call somebody bro. No, I don't. Like, you just insulted me pretty freaking disgustingly, and you think I want to come over? No, not gonna happen.
For me, it was really bad for the when you would reject them nicely, like say, "Oh, I'm just not interested," and then all of a sudden they hit you with the "Why though?"
Yeah, like it just it's a no for me. It's a no. Like there's nothing that's gonna make me want to come over. I don't know. I don't have to have a reason. I'm not sexually interested in you. I'm not interested in you. Like it has nothing to do with anything.
Right?
But
Like I
people,
don't know you. I just said no.
right? Like I think like and I think that's a big thing though too with a lot of people is that they have this conception that if you find somebody attractive, you find them sexually attractive. And I like to me, I'm like, for myself, I don't feel that way. I might find somebody very attractive, but I'm not like, oh, I want to jump in bed with you. Like, I might find you could be like the most attractive person or whatever, but it's like, I might just look at you and be like, wow, you were attractive, but I'm not sexualizing you.
And that's
If,
something that's super important that people forget about is that attraction doesn't just have to be sexual.
exactly. Because it's like, there was one time where I think somebody was trying to argue with me about like, oh, because I had said something about like, oh, I don't care kind of what women look like as long as they feel confident or whatever. But then this chick was trying to be like, that's because you don't want to sleep with them. And like, you don't really care. You don't actually care what women look like. You're just trying to be this and that and whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't find women sexually attractive, but that doesn't mean that I don't find some attractive. You know, like Mila Kunis, I think she's really pretty. Do I want to fuck her? No. Like, be like her best friend, maybe.
And that's something that like lots of people forget about and it's overlooked so often because so often, especially in like music videos and stuff, everything's so overly sexualized.
It definitely is. Or like even with like having gay friends, and then people are like, "Oh, did you sleep together?" It's like, no, I didn't. And like somebody had told me, like, well, you can't be friends with this one person if you haven't slept with them. And I'm like, the fuck? Like, watch me be friends with them. I don't have to sleep with them. Even if they beg and beg and beg to sleep with me, I still have to consent to being able to do that. So I'm not probably going to do that. I don't, there's a lot of little flaws in the community that I just don't really fully understand. And they irk me and grind my gears. So
And so you're also a person of color. So I'd like to ask you about any like how do you feel about the topic of racism and separation in the LGBTQ plus community?
racism is there. And but people are kind of really fucking stupid towards it. And I'm sorry for swearing, but like there for the most part when I was on Grinder, my I would just have a torso pic because it's ripped. It's what the people fucking want. I don't know. It's what I think people want. And I'd message a few dudes, be like, I'd just say, "Hey, how are you?" And they would hit back, "I'm not into Asian. Sorry." Oh, and so then my thought, I didn't respond, but I'm just like, okay, well, first of all, I'm not Asian. Second of all, why are you saying sorry at the end of that? Because you're not sorry. You're not sorry that you just said something that was offensive. You know, like you have just would it be marginalized? You just basically you looked at me as the color of my skin and you're just like, I'm not into this, but you completely missed the mark on it. And you're sorry. Like, no. So I wouldn't necessarily respond with an, oh well, I'm half white, half black. I would respond with something more along the lines of like, well, I'm not Asian, but I don't fuck with racist pricks. And then they'd be like, well, I'm not racist, it's just a preference. But it's like, no. A preference is when you go to Subway and you want Italian urban cheese over just an Italian bun. You want the flatbread over the sub buns. That is a fucking preference. A preference is I would rather have light mayonnaise than regular mayonnaise. A preference is not something that can be put on one's, in my opinion, I guess, potentially sexual orientation, the color of their skin. You could have a preference for a certain age, but at the same time, like, how do you distinguish, what age you're really interested in? Like, there was one dude on Grindr that I talked to, and then a few weeks later, he had on his profile, I'm looking for 25 to 32, and I was just 24. So I was like, oh, well, I'll hit you back in a week when I turn 25. And then like, now his profile says like 27 to 32. And I'm like, I mean, I'm not fucking trying to chase this dude. I don't give a shit. But it's just like, what does a 25-year-old not know that a 27-year-old knows? Because there's 27-year-olds that don't really hold themselves up that well, but there's a 25-year-old potentially that is like holding themselves up a lot better than that 32-year-old that's like shooting heroin up their arm. That's a preference. I don't want a druggie. That would be a preference, not the color of somebody's skin. Like, yeah, no, if you're saying preference, you're just a racist fucking asshole, and you need to check yourself because, bitch, you wrecked.
Well, like, especially when they turn you down and they make sure to say it's because of your race. Like, if you don't want it to be racist or you don't want to come across as a racist statement, don't involve race.
Right?
Like,
just say, I'm not interested, and leave it at that. That works for me. I don't need to be told I'm not interested because I don't fuck Asians. I don't fuck black people. I only like white people. Like, okay. Because like, but I mean, also it goes two ways, almost, not entirely, because there'd be like a few times where a person of color would message me, and I would just say I'm not interested, but then they would dig in. Like, there was a few times where Asian guys had messaged me in Saskatoon, and they weren't like the most attractive people, and that's why I wasn't attracted to them. Or I wasn't interested. So there was no attraction. Like, if there's no attraction, then I'm not going to come over. You know, I'm not going to come over. I'm not going to invite you over. But they would send some pictures. I just like hit with, I'm not interested. But then they would jump into, is it because of this? Is it because of this? Is it because of this? And I'm like, I didn't say that. I'm not about to say that, because that's not what it is. I'm just simply not attracted to you as a person. But I don't think you need to go kill yourself because of that. Like, so that was something that somebody had said too.
Some people take rejection so seriously, especially if it's a rejection with strangers, I find.
Oh yeah.
And so,
like, just yeah, I'm giving up on the online dating. Like, it's definitely not for me. But I as Celine might hit up Tinder, so boys, look out.
And so we're talking about dating and stuff right now. So we're gonna ask about that's the type of love, and we talked about other types of affection. So we're gonna move on to the whole self-love, and how's that been?
Well, ever since I was born, I've just loved myself. Me, Celine, that is. Tanner, now that motherfucker suffered with some hatred, some self-hatred. And I don't know, unlike myself, Celine, I don't know why, but Tanner is slowly coming to terms with it and loving himself. And I've definitely I definitely look back at how I was to how I was and who I was to who I am now and today. And I definitely do have this big love for myself. And I'm like bursting with love. Like I'm just full of love for myself. And that doesn't necessarily mean that that's me buying all, like I used to think that like to self-love was to like buy myself something because I wanted it, or buy myself this or buy myself that. But then I'm a collector of things, of many treasures. And I would also then find myself spending money on things when I would feel hurt. And I was like, why am I doing this? Like, why when somebody doesn't want to hang out, is my instinct to like go to the store and buy a Lego set or buy a Barbie? And as like kind of connected the dots, and if you will, to like whenever something kind of doesn't really go my way or feels like it's falling apart, I'll buy an inanimate object because it makes me feel slightly better. And then I'm like, this will never leave me. Oh, it's mine now. This Barbie is coming home with me, and I will put her on a stand in my living room and she will never leave, kind of thing. But the question was self-love. And I definitely feel like I have a lot more self-love for myself. I've accepted myself as being a homo. And yeah, like just I'm at a point, but I think like leaving North Battleford though as well, like really helped me, because then I was able to surround myself with people that love me and love me, know me, and aren't like out judging me and whatnot. So that was a big thing. And it really like it truly does get better after high school. And like and we'd watched all these videos in high school where it's like it gets better, and I was like young 17, 18-year-old me, I'm like, no it doesn't, it's gonna just always be shitty and life is gonna be shitty. And I had that mentality for quite a few years after high school. And it wasn't until 23 that I really started to like love and accept myself. And so now I'm just proud of who I am and who I'm going to continue to grow into.
Okay, and that's lovely to hear. So that's about all the points I think we wanted to touch on. We went through about as many topics as I have with everyone else so far. And so I think there's nothing else you want to touch on, we'll finish up.
I yeah, I don't. I feel all speeched out. Yeah, I don't know that I really have anything else to touch on.
Alrighty, so I would like to thank you, Celine, for joining us today and sharing a cup with me.
Thank you for having me. And I would just like to leave, I guess, one note for the viewers. First of all, thank you for following me. I'm going to plug myself here as well. You can find me on Facebook at Celine Jen, because Dijon is not a real name according to Facebook. Woo. And the Instagram at TantanJ420, not because I smoke the reefer, bitches, it's my birthday. Ooh la la. And I just want everybody that's watched this, that's made it this far, to whenever you're feeling low and if you wake up and you feel like it's a low day, remember it is okay to have bad days. And it's okay to fall apart sometimes, because tacos fall apart. We love tacos, but just don't unpack and live in that, and you will be back to your beautiful blooming self in no time. And yeah, I mean, self-delusion goes a long way. I look in the mirror every day and I tell myself that I am beautiful. And that is how self-love is developed. Tell yourself you're beautiful, because if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love anybody else? Now, can I get a gay man?
Gay man. Okay. And to my honored guests, for those of you that stayed this long, or to anyone who even just came for a little bit, you won't see this, but to everyone that can, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for sharing a cup with me. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Zep. I'm empty, but
And have a great day.
have a great day.